If you're like me, your feed has probably been flooded with posts comparing Caitlin Clark's WNBA salary to the salaries of NBA players. In the first year of her WNBA contract, Clark will make $76,000. If you're sitting in an office right now, you might be surrounded by people making that much money to work desk jobs that aren't household names and that aren't inspiring the sale of hundreds of thousands of tickets. That fact has a lot of people outraged. President Biden even tweeted about it. All rookie salaries in the WNBA are capped and regulated, so Clark won't be able to renegotiate until year 3. The projected salary for the number 1 pick to the NBA this year is $12.6 million. Then there's a lot of people comparing the scope of the total deals. Clark is set to make $338,000 on her 4-year deal, while the number 1 pick in last year's NBA draft got $55 million. There's a lot of people out there who say it's not fair to compare these numbers because the WNBA brings in significantly less money than the NBA, $200 million versus $10 billion with a B. They say the women's league has less teams, it has a shorter season, that the men's league is much older. The WNBA is still in its infancy. It was, after all, only started 27 years ago. So some people say it would be more accurate to compare what NBA players were making in the early 70s, when the league was of a similar age, to what WNBA players are making now. Year 27 of the NBA was 1973, and the number 1 draft pick that year was Doug Collins, who went to the 76ers for a 5-year deal of around $1.2 million. When you adjust for inflation, that's $8.8 million in today's dollars, way more than what Caitlin Clark is making. There's also a precedent for star players being brought into leagues that make less money to elevate the league. We all remember when David Beckham was brought over to the MLS. They gave him $250 million to do that. No one in the MLS made that kind of money, but it was seen as an acquisition that could transform the league. And many people view Caitlin Clark as this sort of transformational player. Now, she has made more than $3 million in endorsements with companies like State Farm, Gatorade, and Nike. But for many women in America, this is about more than the financial bottom line. And as Lisa Ling pointed out on Instagram, Steph Curry will make more for a single game than Caitlin Clark makes in 4 years. And this is a direct quote from her post. With the toll sports and travel take on women's bodies, is this even a living wage? There has long been a lack of investment in women's sports. In 2021, NCAA basketball administrators actually apologized to the women's players and coaches after inequities between the men's and women's facilities at the tournaments, like the weight room, went viral on social media. This, Caitlin Clark going to the WNBA, is yet another moment when this discussion has been thrust into the spotlight. Do you think it's fair?